Welcome, everyone, to Intensity Broadcasting for coverage of the iOS Truck Series presented by the iRacing Oval Series. Tonight, these trucks will be taking on the treacherous Atlanta Motor Speedway. I'm going to be your announcer for tonight's race, Atlee Atman-Ruiz, and joining me tonight to call the action is fellow iRacer and member of the iRacing Oval Series, Dylan Redding. Dylan, how you doing tonight? From the Cup race, I heard that it's going to be a lot of tire strategy, so we should see a lot of tire strategy come into play. We might see some of the strategists get out in front of the good drivers. This should be a fun one. Oh yeah, every single series, every single thing race, Stephen Black tries to dominate as much as he can, even if he doesn't win the race. Now, he is in the top 5 in points here in the Truck Series. We'll go over quickly your current top 5 for drivers. Logan Hagerman is currently on top in points. He has had 2 top 10 finishes and 1 top 5 so far in 3 races, so very, very consistent. Kyle Mays is second. He won at Nashville last week. Derek Chaput is third. Colin Willems is fourth. And then rounding at your top 5 in points with 1 win, it's Stephen Black.
Ready time to start worrying about that playoff bid.
Yep, playoffs are getting more and more in people's minds as you need a win to get in, and if you don't get a win, you have to risk trying to get in by points. So a win here at Atlanta will be a breath of fresh air for a lot of guys like Logan Hagerman, Derek Chaput, Colin Willems, Nick Mather, Jackson Qualley, Joe Wright. Also, this is the first time I'm going to be sharing this. We do have a team standing. So right now, currently in the team standings, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s out of all of the drivers. Intensity Racing Team is currently in the lead right now in the team standings. Then we have Secondhand Racing in second, Apex Racing in third, Cyclone Racing in fourth, and then Team Maze is in 5th. I know a lot of the fact that Intensity Racing Team being in the top 10 is the fact that we have Logan Hagerman and Joe Wright both in the top 10 in the driver standings. So watch out for those Intensity Racing Team drivers.
Looks like we've got some trucks taking the track for qualifying now, Atlee. Looks like Brian Merle Jr. is going to kick us off in the 74.
See Derek Chaput in the 37. Trying to see if he can get a good lap. We see Nick Mather. Cassie Willems says on Facebook, let's go Colin and Mather. Nick Mather is on the track right now. Speaking of Intensity Racing Team, there's Josh Hall.
You see him staying on the high side of the turn there. That's a good way to give yourself plenty of time to get up to speed and take that green flag with as much momentum as possible.
Now on his first lap, it's Derek Chaput. Gets down to that first little seam and then drives up to the wall. That's where most of these guys are running, that first seam.
Yeah, like these trucks can be loose on fresh tires, and even though it might be theoretically faster to get your truck down on the white line, there's not as much grip there. And of course, the slowest way around the track is to turn the thing around and spin out. So usually the best approach is to take it up to the seam just above the white line and try to carry as much speed as you can without spinning out.
And one of those drivers who was running the line, like you mentioned, Derek Chaput is currently on the top of the board, 31.53. He looked really good in practice, and he's looking pretty fast here in qualifying. Watch out for that number 37 machine. And then he does not improve on his second lap, 31.66. So his fastest lap is going to be 31.53. Intensity Racing Team's Josh Hall jumps to the top of the board, about a tenth faster than Derek was, 31.46. And as I say that, we see Stephen Black to the top of the board with a 31.45, carrying that momentum from the Cup race. He is now on the top of the board in that Toyota.
That's actually about 2/10 off of his practice time of 31.215. So we'll have to see if he can improve on that, or maybe the track's a little bit slower now.
Now, I believe there is a little bit of a draft here at Atlanta.
That's true. So maybe that was how he got that fast lap in practice. And Logan Hagerman looks like he's going to jump to the pole position here with a 31.333.
Yep, your points leader at the moment. And your Season 2 champion. He's kind of in the Denny Hamlin of the iOS Truck Series so far. Has been a consistent top 10, top 5 finisher, but hasn't broken to the win column yet. So we'll see if tonight maybe is the night here at Atlanta. Devin Buccino with a 31.31, 200ths faster than Logan, heads to the top in that 68 machine.
Yeah, that's a fast lap for Devin, and we haven't seen Devin in a couple weeks. He's a winner from last season in the trucks, and I'm not necessarily surprised to see him put together a great pole lap. I bet he'll be a threat tonight.
I believe he hasn't been in a race since our season opener at iRacing Super Speedway. So we'll see if he can come back strong, maybe with a win. He heads back into the pits. I know that's something that a lot of drivers do. After they're done with their qualifying laps, they head into the pits to practice getting down from full speed and getting down to pit road speed, and then practicing getting into that pit stall, because potentially, if we can keep it green, we may actually see some green flag pit stops here at Atlanta.
Yeah, that would certainly be a welcome sight. If we see some green flag pit stops, that's a sign that we've been seeing some great racing. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. I do see that Isaiah Gill is watching our Facebook stream. Isaiah, if you can hear me, it's time to get in that truck, buddy. Qualifying has started.
There he is.
Hey,
right.
Hatman, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, so I know in the stream we're not hearing any car sounds, and then for a while they couldn't hear Dylan, but I just wanted to give you a heads up.
10-4, we have cars on now. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, buddy.
So Isaiah Gill starts off with a 32.69, almost a second slower than our fastest time. Let's see if he can improve on that second lap.
Isaiah Gill, a restart specialist here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, so certainly we'll be looking forward to seeing what tricks he's got up his sleeve tonight.
Second lap, let's see if he can get up there. Oh, and he tags the wall right before he crosses the start-finish line. Definitely not what that number 2 machine wanted, and he crosses the line.
That was a strange one, Allie. I don't know. He might have decided he didn't want to get the pole after all.
And he does a quick little burnout before taking off into the abyss here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Zach McBride, while we were looking at Mr. Gill, jumps to the top of the board. It came down to the thousandths of a second between Zach and Devin Buccino, but he ended up coming out on top. And he is now looking like he is going to take the pole. Brian Nudie on track right now in that 40 machine. 8th at the moment. 31.43 is his fastest time. And actually, it looks like that Brian Nudi has already completed all of his qualifying laps, which means that he's just out here practicing. And I think that that's something that I do often if I'm not exactly confident and I want to get a little bit of extra practice time. You can do that, but your laps will not count towards your qualifying time. So you see Brian Nudi taking advantage of this extra practice time here at Atlanta.
Yeah, certainly not a bad idea, Adley. Something that I should probably incorporate more into my racing. I tend to just shut it down as soon as I cross the checkered flag in qualifying, but it's a good chance to take advantage of some free practice. So Brian Canuti, he looks like he's trying to see how his truck feels on a 10-lap run or so.
Getting 100th off of Zach McBride, Colin Willems to the top of the board with a 31.30. What a lap right there for Colin Willems. I know he's another driver who's been looking very, very good so far here this season, but he has not broken to the win column, so could we potentially see him get up into P1 here at Atlanta?
And that's 3 drivers now within 3/1000ths of a second. Colin Williams and Zach McBride both running identical 31.305 times. That means it's down to the 10,000ths of a second, which the sim doesn't even display. So some very close qualifying laps here at the top of the board.
Jackson Qualley up to 9th right now, 31.40. Close to beating Chris Wheeler, couldn't quite get there. For now, it looks like he's going to be starting in the top 10 unless somebody else can get out there in time to complete a lap, and he's going to go to a stop. And at these 1.5 miles, starting position can play a very big role, as that track position can help. I know working your way through the field can be difficult here at Atlanta, so having that extra track position over your fellow competitors can be a breath of fresh air for these drivers.
Yeah, it's important, Atlee. If you're in the back of the pack, by the time you get around the people in front of you that you might be faster than, the leaders could be long gone, and it'll take you half the race to get to where you need to be. So certainly you can get around that by just putting down a fast qualifying lap, and we see 20 cars so far have gone out there to try to do just that.
See, Cody Moore's on track right now. He's also completed both of his lap times, so he's going to stay out here for a little bit of extra practice time. And he's going to arc it onto pit road, practicing that pit stop.
And I am hearing on the radio, Atlee, that this is the Isaiah Gill Spin to Win 150. A little extra incentive for these guys tonight, so hopefully we'll see some action as they look to bring home the winnings.
I was looking to see if there's going to be a name for this event. This is a very, very special race for the entire iRacing Oval Series. So glad we see that this race has a name. And we are getting set for the starting lineup here at Atlanta. 100 laps. Let's take a look at how we're going to be starting. We're getting the grid up. There we go. Hailing from Canada in that number 17 machine with a scorching time of 31.305. Colin Willems is starting on the pole. Outside of him, it's Zach McBride in the 3. Devin Buccino starting 3rd. Logan Hagerman 4th. And then with Cyclone Racing, Stephen Black rounds out your top 5.
Starting 6 is Tennessee's favorite son, Eddie Morris. 7th is Russell Martin. 8th is Chris Wheeler. 9 is defending ARCA champion Jackson Qualley. And 10th is Brian Canuti.
With Intensity Racing Team, it's the 81 of Josh Hall starting 11th. Derek Chaput, who's in the top 5 in points, starting 12th. Starting 13th, we have Brian Merle Jr. in the 74. Junior Nation is on their feet. Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence in the 47, starting 14th. And then rounding out your top 15, it's the legend, Greg Froelich.
16th is going to be Cody Moore from the Logan and Cody show. 17th is Mike Rentz. 18th is David Wright. 19th is going to be Isaiah Gill, the namesake of tonight's race. And 20th is going to be Nick Mather.
Starting 21st, it's the 26 of Daniel Mitchell. Kyle Mays of Team Mays starting in P22. Todd Mays in the 23, in the 25 starting 23rd. Keith Miller in that Duff Beer Machine starting 24th. And then rounding out your top 25, it's Jacob Waters. And then last but not least, with 2 pedals, 1 clutch, it's Michael Provolt.
21st through 26th positions opting not to qualify. I suppose they'll be looking to keep their trucks in one piece and avoid any sort of carnage that might arise at the beginning of the race. So certainly a understandable strategy, and we'll have to see if it pays off.
I know you mentioned earlier the Logan and Cody show. If you haven't already, make sure to check that out on YouTube. Latest episode, Animals Attack, came out a couple days earlier, and it's a doozy. So check it out on YouTube. It's actually episode 3 of the series. They talk about all things iOS. So if you're a fan of the iRacing Oval series, the Logan and Cody show on YouTube.
Yeah, and this week's episode actually featured their first ever iRacing Over Series radioactive segment, where they played some of the choicest bits of radio chatter from last week's action. Very entertaining, highly recommend.
So here we go. Lights on the pace car are off. When he drives by pit road, he's going to be making that hard left turn onto pit road, and we're going to get set for green flag racing. Again, front row on the bottom, Colin Willems on the top, Zach McBride. This should be a fun one.
Colin Willems is going to bring him to the green flag. Zach McBride's going to see if he can hang with him and get a run on the high side. If he can stay to the outside of Colin, he should get a good run off of turn 2 on the backstretch.
The green flag will be starting. Our starting green flag is out side by side here for 100 laps at the Isaiah Gill Spin to Win 150. Colin Willems early gets ahead of Zach McBride. He gets cleared. Zach McBride moves in behind that 17. Devin Buccino falls in line in 3rd, and then we have a little bit of a battle for 4th. Logan Hagerman keeping where he started, and then Stephen Black falls in line in 5th. Your top 5 are very, very close to each other, and a move could be made very, very quickly. We see Stephen Black looking low under Logan Hagerman as we enter 1 and 2.
And you can see there how much the field fans out towards the back, 3 wide in some places. This is a track where you can find speed on the top and the bottom, and that produces some great racing as we see Devin Buccino make a move for 2nd.
And he gets a great run, flies right by that number 3 Nvidia machine and takes that 2nd spot. He's going to be looking at trying to get up there to our leader, Colin Willems, who so far has led all 3 of our laps here. And there he goes, looking low under that number 17 machine.
Yeah, Devin Buccino wasting no time all over the back of Colin Willems. Meanwhile, Stephen Black following Devin right through the traffic and finding himself in 3rd place.
Side by side, Zach McBride might lose another position after starting the race in 2nd. Logan Hagerman is looking low under him. And there he goes. He makes the pass. So falling from 2nd to 5th is Zach McBride. And we continue to watch our battle for the lead here. Colin Willems, Devin Buccino side by side, pretty much equal as we head into 3 and 4. Very, very tight battle for the lead.
And you can see there on the backstretch, Stephen Black opting to get behind Colin up next to the wall on the high side. Where Stephen chooses to go will make a difference, as it sort of adds a little bit of draft help to the person in front of him. Right now, he takes the bottom behind Devin, and that should give him a little bit of a shove coming out of this corner.
Yep, the draft definitely helps. These drivers could reach the 31 twos if they can get into the draft. I know Colin Willems almost got into the 31 twos in qualifying, but it's really hard to do that if you're not in the draft. Devin Buccino trying to hold off Stephen Black. He's right on his tail. The 98 looks low. We're side by side.
And I think Devin realized there that he was kind of on an island on the low side by himself, so choosing to go high. But it's clear right now that Logan and Steven are working together. Steven switches to the bottom. Logan goes with him. Those guys are stuck together like glue right now.
Will Stephen Black be the one to lead your first lap here besides Colin Willems? Let's take a look to see if he can maybe get the edge. Nope, Colin Willems had the nose as we crossed the line, so still he's led every lap unless maybe Devin Buccino might have gotten one when they were side by side. He has the nose as we go into the back straightaway.
Zach McBride back there in 5th place, not going away. And these guys running 2x2 like this will allow the rest of the field to catch up. And right now you can throw a blanket over the top 4.
Yep. Great racing for both the first and third spot. We see behind this battle for first, Logan Hagerman and Devin Buccino are side by side. And these two are helping to influence the battle for the lead by giving both Stephen Black and Colin Willems a little bit of draft. Oh, and they switch a little switcheroo, and as I say that, Devin Buccino gets clear of Logan Hagerman and keeps that 3rd spot. Great run on the bottom. It looks like Stephen Black was going to almost get clear of that number 17 machine, but they remain side by side as we are nearing 10 of 100 completed.
Big push by Devin there to get Colin back where he needs to be. Logan gets back in the mix, and they're 2x2 once again.
This is probably some of the best racing we've seen all season.
Yeah, you know, I sort of expected these guys to try to save tires and kind of take it easy. It's a 100-lap race, but these guys are not giving an inch. It's very clear that they all want to lead this race. And right now we see Stephen Black leading his first lap of the night.
Yep, that's big for that number 98. That's one step closer to maybe potentially taking the lead from Colin Willems. As I say that, he gets clear, looks like, of that number 17 machine. So, new leader, Stephen Black, he's clear, but Colin Willems staying on that back bumper of the 98, not letting him increase his lead for now.
Yeah, you know, you can't help but get the feeling that letting Stephen Black find the lead was probably a mistake for these guys. We know he loves to check out once he finds himself in first place. We'll have to see if Colin and Logan and Devin can stick with him.
Good run on the bottom for Logan Hagerman. He gets a good run, gets by Devin Buccino. Looks like Colin Willems might have been a little bit squirrely off the turn. Logan Hagerman moves into that 2nd spot, and we're side by side for second. Here comes Devin Buccino looking low.
Yeah, Colin actually had to save that truck. It was about to go around, so good job by him holding on to it, but he lost a lot of ground, a lot of momentum there.
Here's a new face in the top 5, making his way into 4th. It's Eddie Morris. He's going to try to chase down Logan Hagerman and Devin Buccino for that 2nd spot. Logan Hagerman continuing to hold off Devin Buccino for that 2nd spot. And Eddie Morris get up there to potentially break into the top 3. We'll continue to watch those two. Field behind this top 5 is pretty much single file. No big battles that I know of. Logan Hagerman starting to reel in that 98 of Stephen Black for the lead. Looks like something happened to Brian Nudie and Chris Wheeler. Both of them head on to pit road. I don't know if this was unscheduled or maybe we're seeing some early fuel and tire strategy.
Yeah, I don't know, Allie. Lap 14 seems a little early to be worrying about your fuel and your tires. You know, you got to believe that in a 100-lap race we'll see a caution at some point. So maybe that's what they're doing, or maybe there was some contact back there, some hard racing towards the middle of the field. Not really sure.
I know.
We see Eddie Morris there do the same thing as Colin, getting loose and holding on to it, but losing a lot of momentum. We saw him working his way towards the front, so now he's going to have to regroup and try to get himself back to where he was.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're going to see more of that here at Atlanta. Getting loose off of 2 and 4 is a typical thing at mile and a half, as these trucks are going at blistering speeds and sometimes might be going a little bit too fast off the turn. And as tires wear, it's going to be increasingly difficult to hold that car together. So we'll see when these drivers start to shuffle in to get fresh tires. Logan Hagerman with a great run on the high side. He's trying to take the lead from Stephen Black. Can he do it?
Devin chooses to take the bottom there, and that's going to give Stephen a push back into the lead, I imagine.
Yeah, that's definitely going to help Stephen Black, but actually it looks like it didn't. Logan Hagerman is almost clear of that number 98 machine, but he's keeping it up top, doesn't want to come down on that 98 machine.
Logan's just getting great runs off the high side. You see him rocket past the 98 into the lead, and Steven makes up ground in the turns, but on exit into the backstretch, you're going to see Logan just take off.
And there goes Logan Hagerman into the lead. So our third leader of the night, Logan Hagerman, in that number 7 machine. Stephen Black falls to third, and he's now got Devin Buccino trying to look under him to take that second spot.
Yeah, we've seen several lead changes so far, Adley. This is really just a great race so far. We've packed enough action in the first 18 laps to really account for an entire race some weeks. So really just a lot going on, a lot of fun racing.
Yeah, this has definitely been one of the best, if not the best race so far in the iOS Truck Series. There's been some fantastic racing going on here up front, and hopefully it will continue. But right now, single file in the top 5. We see Devin Buccino trying to chase down Stephen Black for that second spot. He looks low.
Stephen Black not necessarily accustomed to getting passed under green by the likes of Logan Hagerman and now Devin Buccino working on his inside. So we got some strong contenders tonight, a lot of fast trucks. Colin Williams, despite almost spinning out 10 laps or so ago, is still lurking back there in fourth. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be a challenger tonight as well. So it remains to be seen who's going to stand out towards the end.
Stephen Black says, hey, I don't really like it here in second. I kind of want the lead back. So he's going to try to look high here on that number 7 on the back straightaway. They're side by side here in turns 3 and 4. Can Stephen Black get the lead back? He's got the nose as we enter onto the front straightaway.
You know, I'll tell you, Adley, I know you know this as well. You can preach patience. You can think about how many laps are left in a race, but there is nothing like being... Oh, I'll have to tell that story later because we've got a caution on the Speedway.
Uh-oh. Caution is out. We'll go ahead and get your wreckage replay up with what happened last race, or last season here at Atlanta in the iOS Truck Series as our wreckage replay. It looks like it might have had something to do there with Greg Froelich. We'll check it out to see what happened. Looks like maybe he might have gotten loose off of 4, like we've seen many other times so far throughout this race. Yeah, you see the car start to get a little bit sideways. I'm sure he's moving the wheel, trying to see if he can save it.
So far, it looks like he's got it saved. But he's definitely loose there, so you can tell he's struggling with the handling on that machine.
I'm not sure what happened. I don't believe that was the cause of the caution. I will continue to dig to see if I can find it.
In the meantime, we'll call it a debris caution, Adley. How about that?
Yep. Looks like it might have been debris, as it happens in real life. Of course, that can't happen in iRacing. let's take a look at our green flag pit stops. Everybody heading in to get some fresh Goodyear tires, some Sunoco fuel. Colin Willems with that first pit stall. Let's see if he can take advantage of that. Stephen Black beats him off of pit road. Colin Willems exits second. Russell Martin in the top 3 off of pit road. He's in third. See, Eddie Morris is 4th off of pit road, and then Daniel Michel is 5th at the moment.
Yeah, we saw just about the whole field, I believe, come in for tires, and at a track like Atlanta, where tire wear is so prominent, they really have no choice. They've got to come in and get 4 fresh ones.
Looks like Logan Hagerman lost a bunch of spots. He's coming off of pit road in 13th right now. So let's see if he can regain some spots and get back up front as we take a quick look at your pit strategy. Looks like everybody pretty much went in that time by. We know that Brian Nudie, who's in the top 15, came in a little bit earlier along with Chris Wheeler. But he heading in is gonna make it so that he's equal with everybody else. There goes that 91 of Mike Rentz exiting off of pit road. See, Brian Nudie, Cody Moore come back on pit road. I believe both of them have some damage, potentially optional repairs. And getting those optional repairs fixed on their yellow can definitely help the performance and speed of a truck, especially at a track like Atlanta, where aerodynamics can play a big role in who wins and who loses. A beat-up car is, you're going to be a little bit slower than everybody else, run a little bit slower lap times.
Yeah, Atlanta's one of those tracks, especially in the truck, where you've got that big, huge spoiler. Sometimes that damage, even if it appears minor, will really reduce your speed under green and prevent you from taking advantage of the draft as you should. So, yeah, you got to get that fixed. Otherwise, you'll just be in the back the rest of the night.
So I'm pretty sure that's what Brian Nudie and Cody Moore are doing, going in, getting those optional, or it might be required repairs is done. Well, no, it's optional. But there goes Chris Wheeler getting his lap back. And we are getting set to go back green here. Stephen Black elects to restart on the outside. So that's going to mean Colin Willems is going to be restarting in the inside. Restarting third behind them, it's Russell Martin. 4th is Eddie Morris. And then 5th is Daniel Michel.
And keep an eye on Daniel. He started this race in 21st out of 26 cars. And sitting in 5th place right now. Certainly a big mover. We'll have to see if he can make a run at the lead here on this restart.
Yeah, he is the biggest mover so far in this race. Probably had a very, very good pit stop to get him those spots. Our other big mover, Nick Mather, started the race in, I believe, 20th. So he's made his way up to the field right now. He's in the top 10, so those are your 2 biggest movers so far. We're waiting for that pace car to make the hard left turn onto pit road. There he goes. Stephen Black controls this restart. And control it he does. Gets clear of Colin Willems. Awesome restart for that 8 of Eddie Morris, taking advantage of the track position. Got side by side with Colin Willems, but in the end, Colin Willems able to get clear of Eddie Morris, and Stephen Black jumps like a rocket side by side for third. Here comes the rowdy energy machine of Russell Martin coming on the bottom. I know he's a big Kyle Busch fan.
And Eddie Morris, I'm not sure if it's being stuck on the high line right now, or maybe he's got a little bit of damage on his truck, but it looks like maybe he doesn't have quite the same speed as some of these other guys up towards the front.
That time by, he ran a 31.46, which is actually faster than Russell Martin, who just passed him. So I'm not sure if it's... Oh! As I say that, Russell Martin gets loose off of 2 and almost hit the inside safer barrier, but able to save it. Awesome save there by Russell Martin, but the thing that isn't awesome is the fact that he has lost a ton of positions, and that's now going to re-put Eddie Morse back in that third spot. Daniel Michel in fourth.
Yeah, I think Eddie must have heard me because he's certainly found the speed now. He's on his own in third place. Seems to be perfectly fine, so there you go. I noticed Devin Bacino back in seventh place. He, I believe when the caution came out, he was in second or maybe third, so I don't know if that was a tough pit stop for him, but he's got a little bit more traffic to deal with than he had before the pit stop.
Yep, right now he's trying to make a pass on Zach McBride, looking low. Can't seem to get around him. There goes. Looks like Daniel Michel might have gotten a little bit loose off of two as Derek Chaput quickly reeled him in, but he couldn't quite get up there.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of guys have trouble coming off of turn 2 on this race. We've seen several people have to save their trucks and hold on to it and lose a lot of ground as a result. Treacherous, especially on fresh tires. That's what these guys are dealing with right now.
Here comes Colin Willems starting to catch up to Stephen Black. He was your original leader from, I believe, lap 1 to lap 7. But Stephen Black took the lead a little while ago, and he's had it ever since. But Colin Willems is starting to catch up. We'll continue to keep an eye out for that number 17 machine.
Yeah, Colin's certainly all over Steven, not giving him any room to breathe. But those two together have completely checked out from Eddie Morris, Daniel Michel, and the rest of the field. So a little different than our...
Caution's out. Big wreck. I saw that in the corner of my eye while you were saying that. We'll go ahead and get the wreckage replay up. That was not good. Ooh.
Yeah, it looked like Derek Chaput and Devin Bacino might have been involved. Not exactly sure what started it off at this point.
Let's take a look. So Buccino and Chaput were side by side, and here we come into the trouble spot. Looks like Buccino might have drifted up the track a little bit. Maybe a little bit of net code, and then the two go around. Chaput hits the wall. Ooh, Hagerman with the close avoidance.
Yeah, Devin certainly slid up the track, got a little tight underneath Derek, and couldn't turn his truck, but maybe a little net code before contact was actually made.
And there was actually two separate incidents that happened. We also saw Jackson Qualley, Nick Mather side by side. I'm not sure who came up, who came down. It was a little bit of a racing incident. Both of them getting to each other and hit that wall.
Yeah, we see Jackson almost go upside down there. Certainly a tough break for the Haley Deegan Racing #1 truck of Jackson Qualley.
See, Provolt has nowhere to go. There goes Keith Miller sneaking by on the bottom. Just a tough incident for all involved. And we see some tire strategy coming out. Everyone from Brian Nudie back, I believe. Nope. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the entire field went in for green flag pit stops.
Well, that just shows how much these drivers value fresh tires on a track like Atlanta. They only had, 6 green flag laps, maybe 7. So not many, but they're still opting to take advantage of the chance to pit now, get fresh tires. You never know how long the next green flag run's going to be, so that's the decision nearly everybody made.
Now, if we look, they have 2 other sets of tires. As I looked in the race info, 3 counting the ones that they started with. So a lot of drivers might have used their final set.
Well, I hope for their sakes they've got one more in the pits, because 77 laps, that's a long time on tires at Atlanta.
So with all those people heading in, let's take a look at your pit strategy. And oh boy, we are seeing some interesting things. Top 7 all are on 11-lap tires, from Colin Willems to Brian Merle Jr. And then after that, pretty much the entire field is on fresh tires. We see Daniel Michel, Logan Hagerman, Josh Hall, Brian Nudie, Stephen Black. All of them have fresh tires. So we'll see how much of a difference 11 laps on the tires are going to make for your current top 7. Those drivers that stayed out: Colin Willems, Eddie Morris, Zach McBride, Derek Chaput, Russell Martin, Dave Wright, and Brian Merle Jr.
I think, Allie, we're going to see that 11 lap difference matter a lot. Usually the tire difference between very fresh and 10 lap tires is very, very stark and extreme. And then it kind of levels out, so the difference between 10 lap tires and 17 lap tires wouldn't be quite as drastic. So these guys with brand new tires, I expect to see them quickly make their way through the field.
Colin Willems is going to opt to restart on the outside. We've seen that all throughout this race. For the second restart in a row, we're seeing somebody opt to restart on the outside. So Colin Willems on the top, Eddie Morris on the bottom behind them. Down low, we see Zach McBride. Outside of him, it's Derek Chaput. And then rounding out your top 5, it's Russell Martin. Daniel Michel is the first driver on fresh tires, so we'll see if he can make his way up through the field in that green, black, and white machine. I'll be keeping an eye out for him.
Derek Chaput there, starting in 4th. He was involved in that accident. We'll have to keep an eye on him, see if he can get up to speed with the rest of these guys.
Yep, we see some damage on that left side, a little scrape and a scratch on that number 37 machine. There goes the pace car on the pit road, and green flag is back out. Colin Willems taking advantage of the restart, gets clear of Eddie Morrison. Looks like that damage isn't affecting him too much, jumping off like a rocket on that restart. Derek Chaput makes his way into second place. Canada 1-2 at the moment.
And that's the second straight restart that Eddie Morris appeared a little slow to get up to speed with the rest of these guys. We know he's plenty fast by the time they get to the next lap, but already trying to make up ground from his second starting spot on the restart.
Trying to get around Zach McBride, looking outside, see if he can get that by that 3 there. He's looking low now, and he might take it 3 wide almost. Derek Chaput putting the block on the 8 as he's going to try to look low now under Zach McBride.
Yeah, he thought about looking for daylight underneath Derek there, thought better of it. Probably wise. This is not the widest of tracks, but looks like he's going to get it done on the high side here.
We see Zach McBride getting clear of Derek Chaput. There comes Eddie Morris on the bottom, trying to break into the top 3. And he's going to get clear of that number 3 machine. So new driver in the top 3, Eddie Morris. That's where he restarted. But then he lost a couple positions, but looks like he's back to his old self and looking fast out there.
And you see what happened. All these guys trying to settle second place amongst themselves has allowed Colin Willems to get himself a 1-second advantage over Eddie Morris. I'm sure Colin is delighted to see that, and he'll be looking to put down some laps here, check out from the field.
Yeah, he's on a Sunday drive right now here in Hampton, Georgia. There's Eddie Morris in second spot. He's already gotten the lead down to a second. Let's see if he can continue to reel him in. And he's getting a little bit of help from Zach McBride pushing him with the draft. He looks low, though, trying to retake that second spot. Oh! Moved drastically up the track. Looks like he got loose, hits the grass, and that's going to give Dave Wright that third spot. He's in the top 10, or excuse me, the top 3 now. one of your biggest movers, started the race in the 18th spot, and he's up here in the top 3. Took advantage of some of the wrecks, avoided some of the wrecks, had great pit stops, and he's up here in the top 3 right now, starting to reel in Eddie. See, oh, and as I say that, caution flag is out. Uh-oh. We had a great green flag run, and then after that first caution, we're really starting to see the saying, cautions breed cautions, come to life.
Yeah, we see it often, Atlee. These guys get bunched up on a restart, and that breeds close racing, which creates contact between cars. And also, as you get deeper in a race, the drivers get a little more confident and are a little more aggressive, and sometimes it breeds cautions.
So here, oh no, Isaiah Gill was involved in this one. We see Todd Mays, Cody Moore were racing hard, and then I believe the 25 drifted up the track a little bit into the 52, and then 25 slides down the track right into Gill, collects Jackson Qualley for the second caution in a row.
Yeah, it looked like Todd Mason, the 25, kind of out of control there, bouncing up into the car above him and in the car below him and getting spun out. And from there, there's just more and more trucks getting collected, unfortunately.
Keith Miller, Michael Lawrence, Chris Wheeler. Looks like Mather tagged the wall a little bit.
Just nowhere to go. The whole track's covered in smoke. There's trucks from the top of the track all the way to the bottom. Just not a lot of options for these guys as they try to race their way through there.
Most of the field heading into the pits. And looks like with our green flag pit stops, once they cross the line, I'll take a look to see who all went out. But right now it's saying that Brian Merle Jr. is currently the leader, one of the biggest movers of this race, starting the race in 13th.
And our leaders, the top 6 or so, did not pit on the last caution, so they certainly took advantage of this caution to go in and get their tires. So that's why you see the people who've been leading most of this race down the running order. Looks like where is Colin right now?
Colin Willems is currently in 10th.
Yeah.
Is actually giving some drivers some positions. We see Russell Martin drive by, Brian Nudie drives by. I'm not sure what happened. We're going to take a look here at pit strategy after this last one. Brian Merle Jr. was the only driver that didn't come in that last time by. He's on 20 lap old tires compared to the rest of the top 16 having fresh tires. So we'll see how much of a difference old 20 lap old tires is going to make for that 74. We might see Stephen Black, Devin Buccino, Josh Hall, Logan Hagerman, and all of them fly right by. Interesting decision to stay out for that 74.
Yeah, I don't know, Atlee. Junior Nation, it's time to get on your feet. I think your boy needs a little help here. He's going to have a train of fresh tires right behind him. So, it's a long-term strategy. He's thinking about the end game. He's thinking about 57 laps from now. Can he be on a better cycle than the rest of these guys? I have got no doubt that he's got a plan in mind. Let's see if it works out.
Dean Qualley says, wow, this is frustrating. Yeah, Jackson has had a lot of bad luck getting involved in the past 2 cautions. I know he got involved in a lot of the wrecks in the ARCA series. So that number 1 machine, your Season 2 ARCA series champion, not having a lot of luck so far this week in the iOS series.
It always seems like you never get wrecked once. If you get wrecked one time, suddenly you're involved in every single caution. It just seems to always happen that way, and it looks like tonight Jackson has drawn the short end of the straw here.
Getting ready to go back green like our other drivers before during these restarts. Brian Myrtle's going to opt to restart on the top. Under him, it's going to be Stephen Black. 3rd, Devin Buccino. 4th, Josh Hall. And 5th is going to be Looks like Logan Hagerman. Keep in mind, Brian Merle Jr., 20-lap tires, the rest of the field, fresh tires. Let's see how much of a difference those tires are going to make here.
Let's hope he doesn't gill it, Allie, on these old tires.
There goes the pace car onto pit road, and immediately when he started to make that ascent down, Brian Merle Jr. takes off, but we see those old tires come into play. Stephen Black gets a great run and gets by Brian Merle Jr., immediately taking the lead. Stephen Black, your new leader. Hanging on to second, though, is Brian Merle Jr., not letting anybody else get by him, but Devin Buccino starting to chase that 74 along with Josh Hall and Eddie Morris. There he goes looking low, and he just flies right by that 74 machine.
Yeah, Brian's not going to be able to hold off these guys. I think for him, what he wants to do is stay out of trouble and keep as much track position as he can. And we see a truck spun out on the apron there. I'm not sure what happened there, but looks like there's no caution.
Looks like it was Froelich that spun on the apron.
Yeah, and as you say that, the legend letting his voice be heard on the radio, certainly frustrated with something that happened under this green flag.
Looks like there's an Intensity Racing team. That's Joe Wright going into the pits. His car was absolutely destroyed. Dave Wright entering pit road. Russell Martin. Looks like there might have been something that we didn't exactly see happen behind the scenes.
Yep, I'm hearing on the radio that Colin Willems may have been involved. He's been one of our front runners, our leader before the last caution. Let's hope that he's not too damaged.
Let's take a look at what happened. Trying to see if I can find this the wreckage replay screen. Oh yeah, we had a big wreck, but the caution didn't come out.
And what this has caused, Atlee, is the difference between 7th and 8th place is about 6 seconds on the track. And the field is very spread out as a result of this incident.
We see Logan Hagerman was involved in this one. Just gets a little bit loose there, I believe, on the restart. Tags the wall. Looks like, did he gill it? It was on the restart.
Yeah, it might have been some tire spin.
Oh, yeah. We see the tire spin a little bit right into the wall. See Dave Wright gets collected. Daniel Michelle gets collected. Zach McBride barely misses getting hit. Russell Martin able to avoid getting hit. Man, that's a shame.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that wasn't a caution, Atlee. You know, the race control does rely on the iRacing simulator to throw automatic yellow flags. They do have discretion to throw yellows if they feel that it's necessary. It looks like in this case, they let iRacing make the call, and they're continuing to race.
And looks like the field is decently spread out with all the hullabaloo that was going on, and we're halfway through this race. I think this is a perfect opportunity to do radio, pump up the intensity. doing. Pump up the intensity. Looks like we have a battle starting to brew for that top spot. Eddie Morris looking high above Stephen Black, trying to make a pass for first.
Yeah, Eddie Morris all over the back of Steven here, and we actually saw this the last time Steven was in the lead. He's very fast on restarts, and a couple other trucks usually start to reel him in after a few laps. And Eddie here on the high side challenging for the lead.
We're side by side. Looks like Eddie now with the nose as we get onto the front stretch, and he gets clear. So a new leader, Eddie Morris. Let's take a look at the lap times that those two are running. Eddie Morris is 0.3 faster than Stephen Black. Both of them are on the same lap tires. I don't know if Eddie Morris has been a little bit more cautious on how he's been running on his tires, and he might not have burned them off as quickly as Steven has, and he's already starting to extend his lead. I'm not sure what's going on with that 98 of Stephen Black.
Well, that was a statement by Eddie. He just went right around Steven almost effortlessly on the high side of the track. Now he's off to the races, so to speak. So a lot of speed underneath the hood of that 8 truck right now.
Here's a battle for third that we have going on. Brian Nudie looking low, trying to get by Devin Buccino.
Brian does have fresher tires than Devin, and I think that's going to make the difference here.
He's got the nose, and almost got clear. There, he does get clear. So a new driver, it's the 40 machine in third place, and now we see Zach McBride looking low under Devin Buccino. Devin Buccino on the old tires is running a little bit slower than everybody else. It looks like old tires are definitely affecting that 68 machine. He's still keeping up with Zach McBride, not letting him extend his gap too much.
And these guys that are holding on to their tires, what they're hoping for is a situation where we have a late caution with only 20, maybe 15 laps to go. And then they can go get their last set of tires when the rest of the guys in the field don't have any left. And that would enable them to just rocket past everybody and lay down some fast lap times that the other trucks simply can't match. So I think that's the type of strategy that Devin is going for right now.
Right now, Eddie Morris has extended his lead to over a second. I mean, ever since he took the lead from Stephen Black, he's flown away like a rocket. Already starting to get by some lap cars. But the thing is, he can only stay in the lead for so long before fuel and tire strategies start to come into question for that number 8 machine.
And some of these trucks that Eddie's coming up on, particularly Michael Lawrence and Michael Provault, are actually lead lap trucks. And that just shows how spread out this field is, and he's actually catching the tail end of the lead lap.
Looks like he stayed out as long as he could on old tires, but finally having to head into the pits. Brian Merle Jr. is going on to pit road.
Yeah, I imagine he probably ran out of fuel, Atlee. Was banking for a caution, but it never came out. Perhaps it should have, based on that incident we saw, but wasn't meant to be for Brian.
So he has to come in. We see Brian Nudie starting to catch up to Stephen Black. But like you mentioned earlier about that wreck, I know there is a lot of unhappy drivers who were involved in that one, and the caution didn't come out.
Yeah, and that's just something that you have to deal with. You know that it's a possibility that the sim's not going to throw yellow. It certainly affected everybody equally. So it is what it is, as they say. Meanwhile, Brian Canuti looking to get past Steven into second place here.
He gets clear of Stephen Black. So a new driver in second place, Brian Nudie. Can he be the one to start to reel in Eddie Morris, who now has a 2-second lead over Brian Nudi right now? Yeah, Stephen Black is running about 0.3 slower than Eddie Morris right now. Again, all of them are the same on tires. It just might be how hard Stephen Black has been running on them.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe Steven is saving tires. It certainly wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm not sure what their fuel window is, whether they can make it from here. I would imagine that they would have to pit again for fuel.
Right now, majority of the field is on 23-lap tires and I believe 23 laps of fuel. Currently, the driver with the freshest tires and the most fuel is Brian Merle Jr., who is running about a second faster than the rest of the field. He's currently hanging out in the 16th spot, a lap down. Let's see if maybe some of the drivers heading into the pits might work in his favor and he can get some laps back. He's already catching up to Mike Rentz, who is in the 10th spot. So he's passing cars who are on the lead lap. He's currently the fastest car on the track.
Well, Eddie certainly looking like he's trying to make this a predetermined ending here, but I think Brian Canute's got something to say about that. And, you know, if we have a late caution, which is certainly a possibility, I think we're going to see everybody's strategies get shaken up. So certainly a lot left to be settled in these remaining 30 laps.
Nudi's gotten the lead to Eddie Morris, under 2 seconds. So let's see if he can maybe catch up to him a little bit more. He has Stephen Black on his back bumper, keeping up with him with the draft. He's sticking with that number 40 machine. We see Brian Nudi goes high in the turns, I think maybe trying to break the draft? I'm not sure.
Maybe looking for a little bit of run off the high side. He was able to pass Steven relatively easily. Might have only taken him 2.5 laps or so to do it, but since then, Steven has not gone anywhere. All over the back of Brian. And Zach McBride staying in the picture as well.
See, he's looking low. I'm pretty sure Stephen Black was saving because last time by, he was 0.2 faster than Eddie Morris, who flew by him just a couple laps earlier. Both of them are starting to reel in that number 8 machine. There's not a single car separating those two.
And as you can see, Eddie dealing with the lap traffic, and that pink truck, that's Michael Cheeseburger. He is not interested in going a lap down, fighting for every inch. Eddie's probably having to use a little bit more of his tires than he'd like to get around these guys.
I know Cheeseburger is currently, he was on the lead lap. Now he's not. See, Eddie Morris puts another car down a lap as he gets by Daniel Michel. Oh, maybe a little bit loose off the corner because he goes down onto the apron, and that's going to get the lead down to under a second between Eddie Morris and Brian Nudi. This is an interesting development going on right now.
Yeah, Brian and Steven are suddenly catching Eddie in a hurry, and sometimes that's how it works. The script will suddenly flip as the tire strategies start to pan out. Eddie, we saw him rocket to the lead, but it's starting to become clear that he may not have saved tires as much as Brian and Steven did.
We do see some lap cars that Nudi and Steven are going to have to pass. But if they can get by them clean, and Eddie Morris is not coming up on any more lap cars, I think once they get by Michael Lawrence and Daniel Michel, it's going to be they might start to try to reel in that number 8 machine. Nudi's already working on Daniel Michel. Uh-oh, we see our first car on the lead lap coming into the pits for tires and fuel. It might be unscheduled, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that we're starting to see some drivers start to flow in. Isaiah Gill in that 2 machine heads in. to get some freshies.
And that does start.
Oh, he misses
Yeah,
his
missed
pit
his
stall.
box. Yeah, but his decision to pit does start the clock on our leaders, because if you're Eddie Morris, Brian Nudie, and Stephen Black, you don't want to let the other lead lap cars get tires early enough to where they start making up a lot of ground on you with their fresh tires as you remain on the track on old tires. So, may not be time to pit yet, but it appears that the window is open.
Uh-oh, looks like Mike Rentz, who was in the top 10, might have just, something happened because he's like falling back. I don't know if he manually disconnected. Internet went out. I'm not sure. We see Cody Moore.
Looks like Daniel Michelle, Stephen Black, Brian Canuti, all pitting this time by. So it looks like we're going to see our green flag pit stops, possibly the last pit stop of the race here.
Yep, I think they can make it after this. They can handle it. I mean, right now, they're on 30-lap tires, and we're currently about to hit 25 laps to go. There goes Cheeseburger, Daniel Michelle, all the leaders starting to head in. Zach McBride, Devin Buccino.
I'm kind of surprised that the 47 pitted with the leaders there right after falling a lap down. I would have thought he might have wanted to stay out a lap and lap back, but I suppose he decided to take fresh tires and try not to lose too much more track position.
There goes Eddie Morris coming in after them. He is going to go into the pits, and that is going to leave Josh Hall as your leader. I believe he's the only driver that hasn't came in.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. Eddie Morris was our leader. He decided to stay out an extra lap, and the second and third place trucks are now back on the track, making their way back around. By the time Eddie gets out of the pits, will he still be in the lead?
No,
it'll be interesting to see.
Josh Hall got by him. Nudie is on the front stretch. Eddie Morris is just getting off. He won't be in the top 2, and looks like he won't be in the top 3. So keeping that lead was just a mirage for that number 8 there. We see Josh Hall giving up the lead. He's going to go into the pits, and that's going to end our little pit cycle. Everybody who is going to go in to get tires has gotten tires, and it's going to be the long haul after this for 25 laps. Brian Nudie now cycles into the lead with a 1-second lead over Stephen Black at the moment. Eddie Morris is in third with Zach McBride fourth, and then fifth is Devin Buccino. Devin Buccino looks low under Zach McBride for fourth. A little battle brewing on right now.
Yeah, with 24 laps to go, no time to be patient anymore. Devin Buccino says, see you later.
And he flies right by Zach McBride. Let's see that time how much of a difference their lap times were. Way over 2 seconds between those two. Both of them winning at the same time. I don't know why Devin Buccino is faster. Maybe Zach McBride might be saving tires for the end. Who knows?
Well, Devin Buccino, he looks like he's on a mission to catch our leaders, which are about 6 seconds ahead of him on the track. That's a tall order with only 20 laps or so to go.
Here comes Josh Hall starting to reel in Isaiah Gill for that 9th spot. Isaiah Gill went in way earlier than Josh Hall did. Josh with the fresher tires. We'll see how much of a difference that's going to make. Of course, here comes Brian Nudie about to put that number 81 a lap down along with maybe the 2. Oh, he gives Isaiah a little tap, sends him sideways right in front of Josh Hall. What an interesting development right there. Brian Nudie says, see ya, and pushes the lap car, Isaiah Gill, out of the way.
Yeah, that was a good save by Isaiah. I thought for sure he was going around. But that was a close call. That could have easily collected Brian and Isaiah and Stephen Black, and that would have really shaken up our race. As it stands, though, great save by Isaiah, and everybody's racing on.
20 laps to go this time by for Brian Nudi, who currently has a 1 second lead over Stephen Black, and one car separates. Stephen Black has to get by Michael Lawrence. Pretty much the entire field is very, very spread out amongst each other.
And Stephen Black not catching Brian Canuti since they exited the pits. They remain about 1 second apart. So far, both of them probably doing a little bit of tire maintenance and just looking to get themselves towards the end. We'll have to see if Stephen and possibly Eddie can track down Brian in the closing laps.
Looks like Isaiah Gill gets it loose. Here comes Daniel Mitchell starting to catch up to that Isaiah Gill for a chance to get into the top 10. I know Isaiah Gill got a little bump from Nudi, and that got him behind, and now here they go crossing the line side by side. Daniel Mitchell gets clear of Isaiah Gill, now in the top 10. Colin Willems looking to try to get by Cody Moore, currently in 7th. It's by Cody Moore for 8th. Something's up with that 3 machine of Zach McBride. He's running 2 seconds slower than your leaders.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that could be, Atlee. Certainly strange. Zach has been one of our top 5 trucks all night long. Certainly had plenty of speed. No reason for him to be off the pace now unless he's gotten some sort of damage at some point.
The other thing is that Brian Merle Jr., he's on 23 lap tires, yet he's still running faster than Zach McBride, who is on 9 lap tires. So I'm not exactly sure what is currently going on with that number 3 machine. I will say the lead has gotten down to under a second. Stephen Black is starting to reel in Brian Nudi for the lead. As this time by, we officially hit 15 laps to go. That's all Stephen Black has to get up there to Brian Nudi.
And I think that at his current rate of closing, which appears to be almost a 10th a lap, we will be looking at a dogfight with about 5 laps to go for the lead.
That would be awesome if we see that happen.
And we questioned earlier Brian Merle Jr.'s pit strategy. He's in 5th place right now. All things considered, I think that really has shaken out in his favor. So I think he should be happy with where he's at on the track right now, given everything that's happened.
Yeah, nice little top 5 run for Brian Merle Jr. and 2 pedals, 1 clutch going on right now. Got another 10th on Brian Nudi. Stephen Black continuing to catch up. 13 laps to go this time by. Here comes Colin Willems starting to reel in Zach McBride, who is continuing to be way off the pace from some of our leaders. Colin Willems is the next driver to make the pass on that 3 machine. Again, I do not know what's going on with Zach McBride. There goes Colin Willems passing by that number 3 machine.
Stephen Black now 8 tenths behind our leader. Still catching him, but with only 12 laps to go, he may not have enough time. I think it's going to be close.
Yep, let's see. Currently at 7 tenths between him and Brian Nudi. Here comes Colin Willems starting to get up there to Brian Merle Jr. He might get out of the top 5 here just because he's on old tires. And yep, he goes by big difference between the tires of those two machines. I know Colin Williams' 14-lap tires compared to Brian Merle Jr.'s 28-lap tires.
So Colin Williams is going to move into the 5th place, but as it stands, he's currently about 17 seconds behind Devin Buccino, who's in 4th. So going to be tough for him to make up that much ground, no matter what sort of tire advantage he might have.
Yep, so it looks like if everything stands and nothing happens, Colin Williams is going to, at the most, probably settle for that 5th spot, which is another top 5 for Colin Williams. That's going to make 2 for the season out of 4 races if he can hang on to it. I don't want to put the old announcer curse on him.
And Allie, Stephen Black is catching Brian Canuti now. It's down to half a second. And keep in mind that when Stephen starts to get closer to Brian, he will start to be able to draft him and catch him even faster. So he certainly is running out of time. 9 laps to go, but he is catching him quickly and may be able to make a bid for the lead.
Last time by, Nudie was actually a 10th faster than Stephen Black, so we'll see if just a 10th might make all the difference for Nudie.
And Brian could have been saving his tires a little bit and then happened to look in his rearview mirror and see a pink truck and decide to start going a little bit faster. That may be what's going on.
Brian Merle Jr. on the old tires heading into the pits. He couldn't hang on to it.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to have to pit again. That's a shame. That's certainly going to knock him out of the running for a good, solid top 10 finish.
All right.
Looks like Brian Canuti has started to manage this lead a little bit, still holding it at about 6 seconds.
Ooh, Stephen Black is actually starting to reel him in. Gets it to 4/10 right now. There you see, he's starting to come into frame.
Can he get there? And will these lap trucks possibly play a factor? You know, sometimes even when they try to do their best to get out of the way, it can be difficult, and sometimes it does play a role in deciding the outcome.
We do see a battle for 3rd place also coming on. Devin Buccino, Eddie Morse currently going at it. Buccino looks high.
And if you recall, I actually speculated several laps ago that Devin was going to have a tough time running down Eddie just because of the interval between them, but Devin has done it, and it looks like he's got a chance to make this pass here.
Ooh, yeah. And he gets clear of the 8 machine, so Devin Buccino really wants an interview from Intensity Broadcasting because he squeaks into that 3rd spot. But 5 seconds separate him and Stephen Black, so it looks like most likely he won't be able to get up there into the top 2. Stephen Black has the lead to about 2 car lengths.
Yeah, not a lot of daylight between these 2 trucks now. Stephen Black, I'm sure he's well aware that he's only got about 4 laps left to make this happen, so the time is now.
This is going to be a dogfight for sure. Trying to set up that pass here with 4 to go. They're also coming on some lap traffic, including Zach McBride. Let's see if maybe Steven can use this lap traffic to his advantage, maybe use one of these lap cars as a pick. 3 to go now for Steven.
And it looks like Steven might have actually lost a little bit of ground there in that exchange. Brian able to catch some clean air a little bit sooner than Steven could. We are going to be coming to 2 to go here, with Brian still holding on. Looks like he may be pulling away a little bit.
At that time by, Brian was actually a 10th faster And Stephen Black, I don't know if maybe Stephen might have burned his tires when he was trying to track down Brian Nudie. But their lead is to about now 4 car lengths.
Yeah, that very well could be what happened. Suddenly it looks like Stephen Black is not going to have enough for Brian as Brian Canuti takes the white flag.
Can he hold him off? He goes to the outside of Isaiah Gill. I know he gave him a little tap when he was putting him under a lap.
Well, it looks like this exciting race is going to come to a close here with Brian Canuti taking the checkered flag and picking up himself a win.
Yep, the man from Santa Rosa, California, Brian Nudie, is your winner. His first win of the season here in the iOS Truck Series. I know 2 pedals, 1 clutch is probably on their feet right now. Not to be outdone, though, Stephen Black had a good run. He was catching up to him, but he couldn't quite get up there. Devin Buccino got 3rd, able to make it by Eddie Morris in the waning laps. Eddie ended up settling for 4th, solid top 5. And then Colin Willems ended up getting 5th.
Zach McBride finishing in 6th place. We saw him a front runner all night long, actually 1 lap down in 6th place. Then Cody Moore salvaged himself a great run after being towards the back a lot in 7th. Josh Hall, Intensity Broadcasting Zone, in 8th. Michael Provald in 9th. And Derek Chaput gets another top 10 here in the Truck Series, finishing 10th.
Oh, and then Isaiah Gill slams into Brian Nudie, maybe because of when he pushed him out of the way when he was a lap car. A little bit of payback for that number 1 machine. And then Brian Nudie is going to manually disconnect. We do have Devin Buccino in the waiting room, so we'll go ahead and pull him in. Hey, Devin, this is Atlee and Dylan in the broadcast booth. You have a copy.
You guys doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. It looks like you were doing pretty good out there yourself. Started the race in the top 3, and you were pretty much up front all racing. In the end, looks like pit strategy ended up coming in your favor. In the waning laps, you were able to get by Eddie Morris and settle for that 3rd spot. But I mean, what was your take on this race here at Atlanta?
Yeah, we waited to take our first set, and it was tough because we did it, me and Steven, and we were driving through the field, and then we had a caution about 10 laps after. So then we had all those guys come and take their first set and drove by us, and that's ultimately what put Nudie, Zach McBride, Eddie Morris in front of us to begin with, because I feel like me and Steven had the best car until Nudie showed up at the end. He had a great car, too. Congrats to him. But, yeah, just a lot of green flag race and a lot of different pit strategies kind of played a factor in this one.
Devin, tell us a little bit about what the track felt like out there. We saw a lot of trucks get loose, especially on the exit of 2. Several people had to save it and avoid spinning out completely. Was it loose, especially on fresh tires, or what was it like out there?
Yeah, it's weird because it's one of those tracks where even if you have fresh tires, it's definitely an advantage, but it's so loose to begin with. You're really tiptoeing around there. But it's tough because it never really tightened up, even as the tires wore on. It just turned into a pushing loose where the right front didn't want to turn and the back end still over-rotating like crazy. So, yeah, it's definitely a driver's track. So, had a lot of fun out there, though.
Now, is there any family members, shout-out sponsors you want to thank before we let you go?
Yep, Dev, my business, Dev Sports Cards. If you collect any cards, any sport, you can get them on my eBay, Dev Sports Cards. New Craft Fine Jewelry and Design, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Mommy and Me Registry. Less than 10% of the states offer maternity leave financial support, and this helps with that. It's comparable to a honeymoon fund. You can add it to your baby shower, registry, etc. Thank you, Dylan, for having me on a Carolina Sim. My beautiful girlfriend, family, and friends for watching, and you guys for spending your night up there watching us.
We definitely had fun watching you make your way up to the field, and congratulations on your top 3, and hopefully we'll see another good performance next week. Have a great rest of your night.
You two guys, thank you very much.
Now let's go ahead and pull in Stephen Black in the 98. Came up really, really close. 4/10 to be exact to getting the win. Hey, Steven, this is Atlee and Dylan in the broadcast booth. Do you have a copy?
Got you.
Man, tough break. Started the race in the top 5, led a lot of laps, and it looked like the pit strategy was starting to come together. You were starting to reel in Brian Nudie, but in the end, it looks like he extended his lead a little bit in the later laps when y'all were getting by the lap traffic and you just couldn't quite get up there. But I mean, what was your take on this race here at Atlanta?
It was loose. I enjoyed driving it. I actually had to wheel it this week, so it was really fun. The rears would go away, and then I know there was a caution, or there was a big wreck in the quad oval that kind of played out, and everyone who wasn't involved in whatever happened favor, and everyone just got really spread out, and then Nudie came out ahead of me off of pit road, and I hadn't taken a set, and I was still keeping him right on my front bumper, trying to save fuel, and he beat me off of pit road, and I was starting to catch in him, and then I think he got into the back of Isaiah or something, and got him sideways, and I lost a lot of time there, and I had already spent up a lot of tire trying to catch him that first time, and it just didn't work out the second go.
Steven, it looked like a couple times during the race you were playing a little bit of cat and mouse with your tires. I'm thinking specifically of when you it seemed like you let Eddie get by you and take the lead and check out for a while, and then you slowly reeled him in. Was that sort of something you were consciously doing, hanging onto your tires at the beginning of a run?
Yeah, I mean, I had pit for tires before they did, and I just let them go, and then I started reeling them back in after they got me. I know Eddie pulled out to like a 2.5-second lead or something, and I was just watching it dwindle down after a few laps of him being out front, and he was racing with some lap cars, and I think the same with Brian. I think he spent up a lot of his tire trying to get by Bacino, and then when he got around me, it kind of nulled out that they had pit for tires probably like 10 laps after me and Bacino did. So
Well, still awesome run, even though you ended up coming short. Is there any family members, shout out, sponsors you want to thank before I let you go?
yeah, shout out to Cyclone Racing. I think I was the only one that came out tonight. I think Sylvan may have had to work, and same with Blake. And but I tried to get the win for us tonight, just didn't play out. Shout out to the Logan and Cody show, Grandma Hagerman, and Logan Hagerman and Cody Moore, respectively. And shout out to Nudie for getting the win there. I know he was really close last night, and we had a photo finish at the end, but good to see that guy get a win finally this season.
Well, congratulations on the runner-up, and hopefully we'll see another good performance next week. Have a great rest of your night.
Yep, thank you, Atlee.
And now the man of the hour, your winner, Brian Nudie. Hey, Brian, this is Atlee and Dylan in the broadcast booth. You have a copy?
I got you guys.
Awesome. Well, you started the race in 10th, and we didn't really see you too much until the waning laps, and then we saw that you were in the lead, and you had a big gap. But then Steven started to reel you in, and then we even saw you give a little tap there to Isaiah Gill, the lap car, and you kept the lead. And then when Stephen Black got right to your bumper, looks like you were able to hold them off just enough to end up getting the win. So, I mean, what was your take on this race here at Atlanta?
It was definitely rough goes at it. Earlier in the race, in the first stage, I definitely got involved in something, and I understand that everybody's complaining that there should have been a caution later in the race, but we've already chalked it up to it's iRacing yellows. That's the rule league, and I was involved in a wreck on like lap 10 or 12 that, in my opinion, should have been a caution. I never got upset about there not being a caution. I pitted under green. I went a lap down. I was able to race my way back up, get back on the lead lap, and then just slowly work my way up there. And then when we came into the pits, I was able to get a decent little gap on Stephen Black. And then when I got into the back of Isaiah, it was like throwing like a little banana peel, because Stephen Black had to lift a little bit, so I was able to get a little bit more of a gap because of that.
Yeah, we saw Steven reeling you in, reeling you in, reeling you in, and it seemed like once he got to about maybe half a second behind you, you were able to kind of keep that steady the rest of the way. Were you hanging on to a little bit of tire that you were able to use there at the end?
Yeah, I was trying to save tires as much as I could. As I know, me winning or me leading by, 3 seconds or 1 second really doesn't make a difference because, just in case, something happens, caution comes out, I'd like to have a little bit more tire. So I know he was having to drive a little bit harder. I don't know if he was necessarily using more tire than me, but I know he was at least using the same amount of tires as me as I was, trying to save mine. And, so once he got to my bumper, I kind of kicked it up a notch and just kind of drove as hard as I could for those final 5 laps.
Well, again, ended up coming out on top with the first win of the season for you. I know that you probably have some people you want to thank.
Oh yeah, as always, I got to thank my beautiful wife for letting me do this. Got to thank everybody in the iOS League, Intensity Broadcast for doing this. The Logan and Cody show. I also got to thank Gill's Dump Truck Service, the fastest dump trucks in the Gill's Dump Truck Service and Pizzeria, the fastest dump trucks in the Northwest. Also got to give a shout out to Isaiah for showing up tonight. He's got that injury going on. He got in a car wreck earlier in the week, so he's driving one-handed right now. So, he's out there giving it his all. Also got to give a shout out to also give a shout out. Also don't forget to tune in tomorrow night. The Pelican Snowball League, Dylan's league. That's a great one. Super Speedway racing action. And I also got to give a shout out to Stephen Black. He got me last night by about 2 feet, and this tonight I got him by a couple feet.
Well, awesome run, and hopefully we might see another win next week. Have a great rest of your night.
I will actually be off all of next week. I will be at a self-service range, so this was my last race for about 2 weeks.
Got it. Well, congratulations on the win, and good luck whenever we see you again.
All right, you guys have a good one. Talk to you later.
Now, as you mentioned before, tomorrow on Throttle Up Network, we will be seeing the Pelican Snowball Super Speedway Series. Shout out to Pelican Snowball. Probably the best dessert place in the entire United States. I know there's a lot of other snow cone places, but it's very, very finely shaved. So if you like your snow cones very, very finely shaved, over 100 flavors, check out Pelican Snowball, 181 locations. Final thoughts on this race, Dylan?
I thought it was a great race, Atlee. Unfortunately, we saw that incident that wasn't a caution kind of spread the field out a little bit, but still we had a great battle for the lead in the closing laps. A lot of really close racing during the first segment of the race, and overall, I thought this was one of the better races they've had this season.
Yeah, I love seeing, the tire, the pit strategy come into play, and we saw a lot of the strategists get into the top 10 based on some of the strategy. Of course, we did see some bad luck as well. But one more time, congratulations to Brian Nudie on the victory. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to watch the broadcast here on Intensity Broadcasting. As always, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Intensity Broadcasting on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. If you are watching us on one platform, make sure to check us out on the other two and drop a like and a follow and subscribe. We are currently halfway to 50 followers on Twitter, Intensity Broad 1 on there. So check us out. You can get notified when we go live, and I'm always dropping polls. So if you want to get your opinion known to the world, check us out on Twitter. And then if you haven't already, if you enjoy iRacing or if you enjoy racing, then you have to download the eRacing TV app on Roku or Fire TV. A lot of different broadcast companies have their broadcasts on there, including Intensity Broadcasting. Our Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday broadcasts are on eRacing TV. So if you want to watch us on your Amazon or Fire TV, or Fire TV and Roku TV, then you got to download eRacing TV. I'm Atlee @ManWeasel on behalf of the entire Intensity Broadcasting team. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Over and out.